A pathless wilderness, wild, rugged, that was
South Dakota.
a hardy frontier, far from the paths of civilization,
Why die on Mars when you can live in South Dakota?
where fortune beckons with a glittering smile,
I was hauling pigs on the interstate. You were in a red car having a problem with your shirt.
and life hung on the quickness of a trigger finger.
Podcast Palooza.
The Sioux Empire Podcast.
Welcome again to the Sioux Empire Podcast. This is the Sioux Empire Podcast, the quirky but harmless podcast. It's all about Sioux Empire news, comedy, music, and culture. As always, I am your host, Robert Mailing, and joining me this week, subbing on the couch, is Eric Edwards.
Hey.
Gabriel Nightshield.
Yeah.
And joining us also is Tyler Kruid from Kruid.
Kruid. Nobody ever gets it right.
Damn it.
Ever.
Hell, at least Seth's not here to mock me for getting it wrong. But Tyler from Live605, the streaming radio service that's all about the local scene in music and everything else that's going on. We're going to go ahead and jump right into talking to him because we don't have Seth here for the book club. My understanding is that he is on a mission to assassinate someone in I'm ruining the joke by getting stalled. That he's on a mission to assassinate someone in Aberdeen, posing as a trip to go to the Brown County Fair. So that's what's up with there. And then Natasha, I'm pretty sure, is lost in some sort of, I don't know, her cell phone signal was really like garbly, but it was something about, there was a guy with a bull's head and horns, and she was in some kind of maze. I don't know, something like that.
No. Yeah.
But
Those Minotaur traps.
I hate Minotaurs, man.
It's rough.
But, yeah, so let's jump right in here to an interview here with Tyler and put him on the spot. He looks nice and nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Tyler, how you doing?
I'm awesome.
So, tell us a little bit about Live605 for the uninitiated. We've been like, anybody that's listening has probably heard about you because we've been like giving you a shout out on like every episode of everything. But for those of who don't know, what's up with
Basically,
605?
what Live605 is, it's a platform for local musicians, comedians, content providers to have themselves heard. So there's a 24/7 streaming station where we play music.
Which is awesome.
Yes, and it's all bands from Sioux Falls, surrounding areas. There's a couple that are a little bit further than the Sioux Falls area, but they have people that live here, so I guess technically that qualifies.
Yeah.
And a couple people from Rapid City, because they really don't have anything out there either. But
Yeah.
beyond that, I mean,
West River is pretty much a wasteland.
Yeah.
Just talking.
They had to beg me to allow their music. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so it's and really what I'm just trying to do is when I moved here, I grew up in a small town in Iowa, about an hour from here, and I moved here in 2011. And I've always been kind of a music junkie, and when I moved here, I said, well, I moved to a bigger city, I should probably go see some shows, and I couldn't find any. So I said, well,
That sucks.
if I'm having this problem, other people are having this problem, and that's really where the idea initially started.
Sure. So how did you get from looking for local like live shows to internet radio station? Why that route?
Well, when I was much younger, I wanted to be a radio DJ.
Here.
And after going to school for that, and
I have no idea what that's like. I clearly had no aspirations to do that when I was younger. It's just a man sitting in the dedicated room in his apartment filled with microphones.
Yeah, but I did that. I did that, and then after I got done with that, I realized, hey, to really make any money in this business, you have to like grind for like 10, 15 years to get a morning show.
Yeah.
And even at a morning show, even though, I mean, you really have to love it to do it, and I love it, but I still need to pay my bills. So,
Exactly.
So, at that time I smartened up, went back to school, and kind of always had wanting to do that on the back burner. But when I moved here, it's kind of like my training for that, and then my love for music and my need for finding more music all kind of collided together and created Live605.
Nice.
So something I've been curious about, love the station, and I love, like, because I was getting to the point where we used to do a music segment here on this podcast like 2 years ago, but I was getting to the point where it's like, I don't know that I can find bands I haven't had before on here and stuff like that. How did you, like, get plugged in enough that you found all these, like, musical acts? Because, I mean, it's a 24/7 station, and I hear repeat songs, but I don't hear that many repeat songs for as much as I've been listening. I'm amazed by the catalog of people that are from the area that perform. How did you plug into that?
Well, I like I said, I initially started this back in 2011, and I collected a ton of music then. I mean, I just literally reached out to people on Facebook, email, their website. Unfortunately, a lot of musicians make it really hard to find
Yes,
them,
they
get a
do.
hold of them, and it,
Holy shit.
yes, and it's after long struggles. When I first started the station, I literally had 10 bands and like 30 songs.
It was like one track just playing over and over
like, you
again.
listen for an hour and you're like, all right, I'm good for the next 6 months.
Yeah.
But for the first 3 years of Live605, it was kind of just something I just kind of just put a little bit into it, and it kind of grew over that 3 years. At that point in my life, I really did not know how to do it right, so I was just kind of doing it. But I collected enough music then. I probably collected, 30, 40 bands then, and had a pretty decent catalog then, but it still wasn't enough to where you could listen to it for 8 hours and not hear a song.
Sure.
And that's really where I wanted to be. But at the same time, things were changing in my life. I went back to school for psychology, had completed that, and then my career started taking a different path. And Live605 was kind of a thing that was costing me money.
Yeah.
And I had a career that was just, going in the right direction, and it was paying
Perfect.
the bills, and it was paying the bills even more.
Yeah.
And it was like, do I dedicate all my time to what is paying the bills, or this hobby that keeps costing me a lot of money?
The whole work, life, family, hobby balance there, yeah.
Yeah, so it just kind of after the first 2 to 3 years, it just kind of sat on the back burner for probably, that was 2011, so 2014, 2015, it just kind of, from late 2014 until late 2017, it just kind of sat on the back burner. And then the same thing that drew me away from Live605 actually allowed me to come back, because, it put me in a different position financially to where I could do this.
Actually have resources.
Well, that and do it the right way.
Yeah.
Before I didn't have the resources, would be a good word for it, to promote it properly, to put the money into it, to build an actual website for it, to do it the right way, so that when people did come to the website, they would have a reason to come back. They wouldn't just come back and be like, oh, this is kind of cool, but it's a piece of crap. So
Yeah, I go to the website, and super finished, polished, professional. Just love it, especially the UI. I'm kind of jealous because I've worked a long time on mine, and it's not as sharp as yours is with the backgrounds and stuff, and it's just gorgeous website. Good. Did you build that, or is that
I would like
you
to
got a
take
guy?
credit for that.
Okay.
I did. If anyone's familiar with like WordPress, I basically took a WordPress theme, as you would say,
Oh,
and
sure.
then I modified it to what I needed it to do, kind of like a lot of people do with WordPress.
Yeah. Nice.
So a lot of it, the shell of it was there, a lot of the components of it were there, but I really made it what it is.
So enough of this geek talk.
Yes.
Let's talk about the music a little bit. So you wanted local shows. What did you, especially talking about early on finding people and stuff like that, what were you hoping to find? What did you kind of like expect when you first started? And it sounds like your pool of music has grown significantly that you can draw on.
Yeah, well, when I first moved here, I started this project 2 weeks after moving here, so I literally had no idea. I did not know one band from Sioux Falls, so I had zero expectations. I didn't
Sure.
even know if there was enough bands to create something like this. So really, when I started it, I did not have any expectations at all. I was just kind of winging it. Not
Is
knowing
anyone
what the hell I was
live out
doing.
there?
Yeah, pretty much.
They're a total drag. They'll plug you into anybody you need to hear. They got fingers in pretty much every. Well, not fingers, this kind. But
Well, the interesting thing about the Sioux Falls music scene lately, I have actually within the last month, I've decided that I was going to replicate this same idea, and I won't mention the city. I have some experience in that city. I used to work there. I was there every single day for about 6 years straight. I won't name that other Sioux city. But the interesting thing about it, and I found this a little bit in Sioux Falls too, was that it's hard to give people free advertising.
Yeah.
Bands, comedians, whoever it is, I'll reach out to people and be like, hey, I like your stuff, you should get it in the rotation so people can hear you. And they will say, great, that sounds awesome. I'm like, here's a link, upload your music. Radio silent.
Yeah.
So it's taken time to get it where it is.
Gabriel and I have had a really good conversation. I think we did it on Sioux Empire, and we've talked about it on Urban Indians a bunch, about there's finding creative people, and then there's finding creative people who will get shit done.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, yeah, the Venn diagram, there's not a lot of overlap on those circles.
Yeah, that is very correct.
I was trying to remember what I was reading the other day that was like a study of different artists and musicians and stuff like that, and that was like something about like the ones that succeed, like 80% of what they actually do is sell themselves and their time and get out there and promote and stuff like that. You know, the business end of it that you wouldn't expect.
I need to get a little better at that part.
It's writers. That's what I saw. It was about people who write books. Where it's just kind of like, you can write the most brilliant novel in the history of man, you know, and be the next Hemingway, but if you're not also like hitting the streets and being an agent and everything else.
If you don't sell it or have somebody who will sell it for you, then...
If nobody knows about it, I mean, it could be the greatest book you ever written, but if nobody knows about it, nobody reads it, then who cares?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that's the problem a lot of artists have, is they don't treat their craft as a business.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to play the guitar. Everybody wants to crack jokes. Everybody wants to do all the fun
Everybody
stuff,
wants to
but
be the acoustic guitar guy that gets laid at college.
Exactly. And then never again.
That works too.
There you go.
But I learned that, you know, over time, because, you know, my professional life brings me into like sales and marketing and all those worlds, and you know, not a lot of people here. There are some that do a good job of it, but they don't treat it like a business. And we're in the Midwest too, so you know, a lot of times you're doing it because you like to do it.
Yeah.
And I hope that's why you should be doing it, but
gotta be a passion.
But you need to make money at some point too.
I agree with that.
Yeah. At least if nothing else, to like keep it budget neutral or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, that keeps the wife happy.
Or it doesn't cost you
Or the
money to go
partner,
somewhere.
or, you know, whatever, whatever your situation is there. But yeah, it's really tough to sustain if it's just something that you just pour money into and don't. And then just like, yeah, and even if you're not like out to make a bunch of money, just putting energy into the like letting people know you exist, you know?
Well, there's how many bands out there or that don't have a Facebook page or don't have a website. I mean, simple things. I don't care if your website is a piece of crap. If you just have a website that has a form that says, hey, contact us, or that says, hey, here, listen to one of my tracks. I don't care what it is, but I mean, I'm not quite a millennial, but I have a lot of millennial tendencies.
Sure.
Like the whole Argus leader not like letting you see their articles isn't that bad for me, because most of the time I just read the headlines anyways.
Yeah.
And then Google and see what the story is from other.
But yeah, I mean, if I go out to your website, or if I can't find you, like, you got one shot. If I can't find you, I'm done. And I feel a lot of people are that way too.
Yeah, a lot of people are. I'm that way. I'm just kind
Attention
of like,
span's really low.
If this thing isn't on the internet, it doesn't exist, you know. But yeah, so you've got shows on your streaming station, and you do a fair number of them. Are involved in them because you do the countdown.
Yeah, I do the countdown, and then I do the Sioux Falls headliner.
Yes.
I don't write any of that, but that's actually one of
my
favorite
that's our
shows.
friend of the show, Adam White, does the writing for that. And for those of you for this like 100th time that don't know this, when you see headlines from the Sioux headliner like the city's going to start parking tanks at Falls Park, this is satire. They are not actually parking. Teresa Steele is not out there parking a tank next to Falls Park.
I would have another reason to go to Falls Park if that happened.
That's true. I would love to go out there. It's just like let the kids crawl around on an Abrams and be like, wow.
It was funny the first episode of that I did, I had my girlfriend listening to it.
Uh-huh.
And like the first headline caught her off my. She's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Babe, remember?"
Well, he does a good job with the very. It's like I don't know how you. It's not deadpan because he's not verbally saying. I mean, you're saying it.
Yeah.
But like his headlines are very like, just believable enough or professional enough that it hits that sweet spot that The Onion often does.
Yes.
Where it's just kind of like. Kind of true. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the first one I read and what led me to him, and I reached out to him initially and said, "Hey, I think this is something you should do. I'll help you push it out and do all the behind-the-scenes stuff." And he didn't have any interest in that, and he said, "You can." I said, "Great.
Okay.
I guess I will." But I know the first one I read, I clicked on it, I was like, "Oh, I see what you did there, you bastard." And then I chuckled.
Yeah, I loved his having the goose that was running for mayor.
Oh, yeah.
Turned into like a kind of a baby meme with the, instead of the hope poster, It was the goose. Goose. So no, I love the headliner. The countdown is really interesting to me. So you use it's awesome because it's like a top 10 countdown for local artists, which, is not something you're going to get from any radio station around here. That I know of. There's probably like 3 of them like shaking their fists at their it's like right now it's like the Crow does that. It's like I don't think they do.
The Crow used to do something like that.
Something like Loud and Local where they would play local music. But
Being used to.
Yeah, well, the unfortunate part about terrestrial radio is they usually are governed by this huge body or this huge company, and getting localized material isn't something that they're typically
that and
in.
They're subject to the FCC, which has no power here, motherfuckers.
I was gonna say I was on the Crow one time and I let a F-bomb fly and I was like, oh fuck. That was the last time I was on there. But
they got like what, 15-20 second delay? They get a chance to catch them.
Fucking A.
There you go.
What I love about Live605 is that I will have artists reach out to me or comedians when we decide that, hey, you're gonna bring your content into the rotation, and they'll be like, is there anything I shouldn't talk about, or is this can I be explicit? And I'm like, yes, please. I want you to be who you are.
Please, I like how you're like, please swear.
Yes.
Fuck yes, I want you to swear.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it was like the 3rd time I did comedy in an actual club, and I asked him, so were there something that not supposed to be able to say? Like, I mean, certain clubs don't allow swearing, and one of the other comics say whatever the fuck you want. Heard.
Word.
As long as you're not spewing hate speech, you're free game for the most part.
So my newest series about Holocaust denial, not welcome. Okay, I could take a hint. That one kind of tested poorly anyway in the focus group.
I did give you that little. Did I give you that little rebel postcard?
Oh yeah. Oh man, but no, it's really cool. How do people get on the countdown if they're a local artist listening?
Well, first and foremost, you have to have your music in our rotation. So please send it to me if you have it. If I ask for it and you say you'll upload it, please upload it. If we get that part done, that's the hardest part of all of this. And then any band or any fan of a song or a band, they can either reach out to us, tag Live605 on Facebook, Twitter, or text us. They can message us directly at 605. I always screw this up when I don't have it in front of me. 605-837-9557, I think. If not, go to the website and find
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Live605.com.
Okay, live605.com. And we'll link to all this in the show notes, and I'll look up the right number and put that in the show notes as well.
I think that's the right number. I've said it only about 1,000 times. But when
Oh,
it's not followed
I know.
when it's not followed by other words that I say before that, I always tend to mess it up.
Well, that's me. Half the time I get the host's names wrong, or or my name wrong, or some bullshit on the intro. Always, it's just like clockwork. But yeah. So go ahead.
I would say I'll have to do that because I haven't gotten any of my stuff or whatever.
Yeah, Gabe, get on that.
Come on,
I've heard the name, but I didn't know that you did anything with comedy, so I gotta check it out too.
So every hour 5 minutes past the hour. We do 60 seconds ish. I mean, give or take. It can be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, whatever it is. But we do 60 seconds of comedy, so it's like a quick bit. I always tell people to send me their old material, like stuff you don't use anymore, because I want people to come out and see you, but I don't necessarily want them to come out and see you tell a joke that they heard on our station.
Sure.
Although some jokes are funnier when you know the punchline.
Yeah.
You know, like if certain comedians have that joke that the crowd begs for, but you know, I don't want you to just send me your current material. That you can if you want, but you know, if you have old material, that's always a good use for it.
This is so fun. I'm just thinking about like how blessed we are to live in a time where it's like somebody can set up something like this, because it's so cool. Because you know, you look at like how we define community nowadays compared to like how it would have been in olden times, where people would go out into meat space and interact like human beings,
waving things on top of
in like the town square and do all this crap. And it's like now it's just kind of like we can have it all like in one big online, big thing.
Man, that technology is something nice about that. Them Amish people don't know what they're missing out.
Have you? Were you aware of like Sioux Falls radio back in the day?
Yeah, actually was a funny story about that. We were actually, because that was around, he had, what was his name? Tommy had that going. And
yeah.
That was around the same time that I started Live605. And we were actually going to partner up on a couple things, because at that time, he did strictly hip hop, and I just did strictly everything else. I had never listened to an ounce of hip hop in my life besides Tupac and Biggie. You know, of course you got to have those.
Like prerequisites.
Yeah. Right? Yeah, exactly. Maybe some Warren G regulators would drop in every now and then, but you know, every hip hop rap music that every white person listened to.
Of course.
But fortunately, since then I've widened my my love for different genres of music, but the funny thing about that is that for the past 7 years, I think he quit doing it probably around 2012, 13, around that time. Like that. And for the past 5 or 6 years, I've been trying to buy that domain name, and like a month ago, it came available.
Really?
I purchased it. Yeah.
Nice.
Which I thought was hilarious, but yeah, short story long, yes.
Yeah, that was pretty cool whenever it was around.
Yeah, this is the first I've ever heard of this. What was it?
It was a hip hop radio station, like a local type deal, and they had like, it was very similar to he's talking about, where it was like you know, I would go on there and do interviews and stuff like that, and it was really cool actually. It was set up like right by my house too, so it was like convenient. So we just go down there and talk some shit every once in a while on there. And
Very nice.
Originally where I was trying to first start doing like a show or whatever, and then yeah, Tommy was just like, I'm moving to Costa Rica, and just fucking had it out. And then
what happened? I just wondered, because it was literally like on air one day and like gone the next day. The website hung around
very
for
mysterious.
5 years.
He got a divorce and was just like, bye.
Like,
and
dude, what do you want
out of the country.
Face, man. he keeps staring at me.
That's the first thing I thought when I sat down. I was like,
He just keeps staring at me. He's got like the Mona Lisa eyes that follow you around the room.
We are watched over.
I know, and then he's over there too.
Over there.
I'm happy to know there's someone here to help with me.
Yeah.
He's watching over all
I
of
gotta
us.
turn him over. He's been staring at me for like 5 minutes.
There you go. God. But yeah, it's super cool. Do you have any plans for the future of it, as far as like things you're expanding into, or like things you'd like to try doing with it, stuff like that?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm trying to duplicate this in other cities close to here.
Sure.
Not just anywhere, because I want it to be somewhere that I have familiarity with. Like, I don't want to just, you know, be like, all right, I'm going to start a local station for Miami, and not really.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on in Miami. But other cities that are close here, I want to try doing the same thing. If it's available. Like I said, my first attempt to replicate the same idea somewhere else is going terrible. I mean, it's just the worst experience ever, just because, I mean, I've reached out to 30 bands, like 2 of them have got back to me, and I'm like, oh, so you guys, like, it was easier to build Live605 with nothing than to say, hey, this is what I'm doing in Sioux Falls. I can do this here for you guys too, but I need you to send me content.
You think you're getting any of that Sioux Falls, Sioux City like rivalry going on there, where they're like, "Ugh, it's from Sioux Falls." I hear those people
They have
eat
a big
turnips
music
and
scene
walk
in Sioux City,
backwards.
though?
I don't know that their music scene's huge. I think they have a pretty decent music scene, but I think the people in Sioux City really support their music scene.
See, I know a
They
few of the
really-
comics down there. They should be able to. I mean, it's
The
few
comics are pretty
it's-
legit.
As few places they
interacted
have
with
to
them.
do anything, as few resources they have, I figured they'd probably reach out to something like this.
And I haven't reached out to any comedies or comedians there yet, just because, you know.
Kind of need the music.
Yeah,
and
because
the-
the music is what fills the gaps. When we have shows on, or if we have, you know, comedy bits or whatever it is, the music fills the gap. And then, I mean, besides adding more shows, I'm putting together a studio now, so we're kind of in the process of deciding, I guess not quite putting it together, but deciding where it's going to be and doing that stuff. And then I'm hoping to host a more regular show myself.
Awesome.
And a co-host. Anyone need a co-host position for free? Anyone willing to work for free?
God, you are
I
preaching the choir.
I was gonna say it depends on what hours you're talking about. I'm open for certain things.
Yeah, you're talking to the guy who had 2 of his hosts flake this morning, so I'm kind of like, anybody? Bueller?
Yeah.
I'm just stopping a puppy from pissing on the floor. My kid's in Kansas City, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wake up every day with new ideas. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning with new ideas, and then I write them down, and then I wake up at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning and look at them and crumple them up and throw them in the
Yeah, and I was
Don't
like,
throw them away,
what
because when you come back to
the
them,
hell?
oh, that was kind of, hey, that might work.
Like, sometimes I'll wake up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, like, oh my god, this is an awesome idea. I need to go buy this domain name right now. I'll buy the domain name.
Oh,
and I
I'm-
wake up in the morning, right now I have 30 domain names, and I'm like, why do I own
Guilty.
these?
Cosmic
Why do I-
Confection Connection. Take it away. It's a real thing. Mine.
yeah, drives my wife nuts. I'm just like, you just had a conversation at a bar with someone about maybe doing that like 2 years from now, but I've already got domains. So we're
You got, that's you know how it is. Gets popular, somebody else got it. Now you got to change your name, and it's already embedded in your head.
Especially
like,
if you
no,
come up with a clever one, then it's just
Yeah.
like,
something that's funny. Like, yeah, man, I get it.
absolutely. Yeah, I have a serious domain collecting problem. I even did a purge like 2 years ago where I finally let a whole bunch of them go. But I'm starting to build it back up again.
You know, there's some guy out there like, finally. For I don't know, I can't think of the most obscure one, but
I just hope that someday someone actually says, hey, I want to buy this from you.
There you go.
Never happens, so.
Yeah, I don't know. The Simpsons misled me with somebody pulls up in a limo and with an evil laugh offers me a briefcase full of money for something,
Yeah.
Just like, that's kind of how I expected it to end, but, not quite. Not quite. So, yeah, let's see. We are at 27 minutes. Awesome. Let's see.
And our shows stream on your site,
Yeah,
right?
so.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think
there you go.
I don't know if all of your shows, I'm pretty sure the majority of them, if not all of them, are
Yep.
on at some point
They
in time.
they
on
are
our
all
station.
all of the ones we've got are on your station. Speaking of which, I will probably have a couple new ones coming up in the next few months.
Oh,
so
that's exciting. Can you talk about them yet or not?
well, one for sure I can talk about now that I've got like the domain name secured and everything about it.
I've had that
is,
for 6 months.
I am doing a bunch of groundwork to launch we had so much fun and it was so successful with our episode that the Sioux Empire Podcast did where we went to Fiero Pizza
Yeah.
and just ate amazing pizza and talked about it. That one went over so well that imagine the big guy wants to do a food podcast and it's going to be called, and this is breaking, I haven't announced this anywhere else, so you're getting me to tell breaking news here. That one's going to be called Sioux Falls Must Feed, all caps.
there you go.
Local artist Dylan Jacobson is designing a custom cover for it, and Low Riding Moths is composing the theme and
Hopefully
stuff for it.
that'll mean some free meals. I mean,
That's the hope.
That's a purpose for doing this.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the only real we're not actually going to put out
and plus,
episodes.
if they know you're
The
gonna
audio-
you're not gonna get any. Just no, you have to do this right. You have to do
the
something.
audio of all the episodes is just like,
Please, that's not great.
it's good. Well, I like the good parts,
like
the bad parts. It's like I'm painting a word picture for you.
Do you have some places in mind already, or
We've got a few places that we're in talks with. Believe it or not, it's not as easy as you think to talk all the local restaurants into giving you a free meal.
Really?
Yeah.
Boss's Pizza and Chicken.
I'm sure because we're not doing chains. We're trying to do the local places.
Stuff, yeah.
So
Jackie's.
Oh yeah. We'll have to do Jackie's. I'm just probably gonna eat Jackie's tonight.
Gilberto's.
Yes.
That's good.
Mama's Ladas.
Seth
Phillies.
Glover, one of the hosts who's not here today, he's going to be the point man on that one, and he gave me a list of 5 places I didn't even know existed here that do interesting stuff with breakfast and stuff. And I'm just damn, okay. So yeah, there's no shortage of original eateries in Sioux Falls. So look for that in the next few months here. Sioux Falls, Sioux Falls Must Feed is coming.
Nice.
And then the other one, which the name was just settled on literally 24 hours ago, this one's going to probably be a while before it comes out. It might be half a year or so. We'll see how it goes. But this is, my next one is my ultimate dream podcast. And I know I said that about the paranormal investigation podcast, but that was also a dream. And I love Macabre Grimoire. Such a blast. Like I said, when you listen to this, the Flatwoods Monster episode is going to be up with the super, super weird ass alien story. High weirdness. You've got to check it out. Anyway, because I could do a whole thing about... Well, I did a whole thing about the Flatwoods Monster.
Yeah.
So fucking cool. But, yeah. Where was I going?
Flatwoods Monster. Your new podcast.
Yes! The new podcast.
Yeah.
The next one is going to be... we're calling it Edge Case. And it is going to be a sci-fi thriller anthology radio plays. The episodes will be 15 to 30 minutes, 10 episodes in the first season. I am actually going to put up the ad today to open submissions to authors and writers in the area. I want to showcase local writers. So if you've ever wanted to write a Twilight Zone episode or a Outer Limits episode or Black Mirror, this is your chance. I've already got...
I don't know how to write like that.
I've already gotten a bunch of, holy shit, I had no idea. I was I put out a little thing on Facebook that was just hey, are there any voice actors in Sioux Falls? My inbox, just
they just
overflowing
had a thing in
with
Sioux
people.
City for a bunch of, for voice acting. Some kind of classes or something.
But, yeah, I will probably be working with Dominic Winnicky, who's done a lot of local films and stuff like that, and Ari's show. We're going to be helping, and then I've already got a few writers who I'm are locks on doing episodes. I have 3 that I'm pretty sure I'm going to put in the season because I'm the boss. I get to do that, even if they suck.
Is that the best thing about starting something like this? So when I started Live605,
yeah.
I'm I can do whatever I want.
It's
I want to do a show. I want to talk about whatever. I'll talk about whatever.
That's why I do this, so that I can have my self-indulgent little episodes about the Flatwood Monster and whatnot. But, yeah, so I am super pumped about that one. Was just really, really... I'm not going to do it. I promised myself I wouldn't spend the money, but I was really looking at some, transcript and script writing software like Final Cut Pro and stuff like that. And I'm just you don't need that. You've already got a template you built yourself in Google Docs. You don't need to spend $200 on software to make your scripts look pretty.
Yeah.
I'm just why don't you focus on... I do this. I'm sure other creatives do this where I'm just spend money on a toy, just to distract yourself from actually well, why don't I actually produce some fucking work with all these toys now?
I think that's a pretty common theme for people.
I hope that what's the exception for me is that I'm self-aware enough that eventually I do go, okay, I'm distracting myself with toys, time to get the fuck to work and actually produce a podcast. Whereas I know a lot of creative people that I've seen that don't do that, where it's just kind of oh, this is just go forever, so that anything to do to not actually write, Especially writing, because writing is its own tough little nut to crack as far as
not the easiest thing.
Yeah, getting past the mental blocks of it. But then you've got these ideas in your head that you you gotta get them out of there because they're gonna drive you insane if you don't get them out there. So that's the way it works for me anyway. I know you can talk to writers and every one of them, a billion writers, and you'll get a billion different versions of how it works. But that's how it works for me anyway. Yeah, so that's what I've got going on in the future. I was not going to release any of that yet, but you plied my tongue, and
I know,
here we are.
I tricked you.
Some cute alien over here. I just noticed that.
That is a 3D printed Yoda head. Yeah.
No, the
Oh,
alien,
the
actual alien.
plush of an alien facehugger. Yep. That was from a...
I thought it was a sunshine, and I noticed his tail. Like, oh, how adorable! This is gonna lay an egg in my belly.
Yep. It was from a Loot Crate like 2 years ago. I think my wife found him under the bed and was like, let's not have that around. I was like, oh, okay. Well, like the implication of that story means that at some point I was sleeping with an alien facehugger plush.
Yeah.
As a grown man. So, there you go.
I'm not judging, man. I'm not judging.
Go ahead. You feel free to judge. It's fine. It's fine. So awesome. Let's see. Do you have anything, Tyler? Anything else going on that people should be aware of? Because I know you for the Live605 thing, but do you also like do oil painting or like skydiving or what does Tyler do?
Not anything that I can legally or ethically talk about. But
Talk about it off air.
Gotcha.
no, I know.
You know those pamphlets that were being handed around?
Oh shit!
Yeah, exactly.
Call back to last week.
And it's safe to eat.
How often, when you got the show, I'm assuming it plays 24/7 or whatever.
Yep.
Like, how often are you actually on there, like talking and doing stuff?
Well, the neat thing is just like any other radio station, there are DJs on there, so you will hear people talk between songs and that type of thing. That's a lot of,
And it's awesome.
yeah. With a lot of internet radio, you don't get that.
No.
Luckily, I know some of the right people that I've made some friendships along the way, and we could scratch each other's back, and it worked out to where I could have some voices on Live605. So from 6 a.m. until 2 a.m. there's always voices on there. Not mine, but
nice.
there's always some type of DJ that's filling in breaks and doing all those fun things, just like you'd hear any other radio station.
That's cool.
Anyone that wants to fill in the 2 from 2 a.m. to 6 o'clock, that'd be fantastic.
Do you have like an actual studio where
No,
like
so all that stuff happens remotely. That's one of the things that we're working on now is getting a studio. Unfortunately, with Live605, I should say unfortunately, I do it because I love it. It doesn't make a lot of money. So with it not making a lot of money, things like studios, and Robert, you could probably attest to this, things like studios and stuff like that just kind of have to come along when they come along. It's not that easy just to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, paying for a studio or leasing out a spot when it's bringing in.
Or you could do the home studio option. I always laugh, and my wife laughs too, but I'm more of a ha 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 about the our first conversation when I was like, yeah, I've got a studio set up in my apartment, and you were just like, oh, I'd love to do something like that, but my wife would be so mad about all those like strangers just coming and going all the time, and it's like, yeah, you said something like, your wife must be really cool with it or really like the podcasting. I'm just like, yeah, she's really crazy about it. Not at all. Like, I think she's constantly like yelling at me about or awkward about or anything. No.
But yeah, the whole studio thing is the next step is so that I can bring more local people in and do more stuff with them. I mean, that'd be
awesome. That's
the roadblock that holds me up now, is that.
Because I feel like you're building a community, and I feel like that studio would have the like potential to be like a focal point for a lot of the like creative energy in this town.
Yeah, absolutely.
Recording studio, and there you go.
And massage parlor.
Hopefully that's not how the artists are paying with massage. But yeah.
Hopefully for
Yeah.
I can't say I'm not 100% against that.
You gotta admit, it'd be a great way to like get somebody's guard down if they're like, they're getting like a neck rub and a back rub. Microphone's right here, their head's in the little thing, and it's like, oh yeah, this is awesome.
It'd be a lot.
There's a little
like
Japanese girl walking on the guy's back. It's like, so how much money did you embezzle from the city of Sioux Falls this year? Oh, about $800,000. Fuck! Damn it! That studio, man, it gets me every time.
But yeah, hopefully that comes together in the next couple months, and then hopefully, I would love to do more shows and do more, and have people do more shows where they just come in and talk. that's one thing I like a lot of about like this podcast and like the one you guys do. And I don't know if you guys have written down topics, but I think they're kind of, you may have topics, but they're kind of just free flow.
Yeah.
They just, you might start somewhere and they may go anywhere. And
Like, because this part 2 is usually a book report thing from Seth, so usually he has the outline, but he's not here. But like part 1 is we go down an outline of like local news stories here, like this, that gets shared on a common Google Doc and stuff like that.
See, I always felt weird whenever me and Jenny's podcast would go off the rails. Like, I feel like we should be sticking to these subjects.
It's podcasting.
I think that's what people really like about podcasting and about radio shows now. You know, when I'm listening to a show and they can bring someone in and interview them, and I almost cringe. I'm like, oh, these questions were all laid out. Like, you're answering the question before.
Are you listening to 90? No, I'm not going to say the radio station. I listen to a certain radio station, and every time I hear the person interview somebody, like, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to say it because it's a friend.
but that's what I would like to be able to do more of that and let people just talk about whatever they want.
Every now and then we get famous people in town and try to go kind of jump on the radios, and Tracy Morgan tried to do it here, and they were not having it. Like, this is a well-known comic. What do you let him do what he wants? This might be funny.
They said no to Tracy Morgan?
He was on there for about 2, maybe 3 minutes, and it was him and Tom Arnold.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, and they weren't having any of it. You could you could tell the DJs were uncomfortable. You could tell just by the way they'd be like,
well, there's that FCC crap again.
Well, there's the FCC, and there's also, I mean, traditional radio, except for, and I shouldn't say this for everyone, but for a lot of traditional radio, it's a lot like watching a late night show.
Yeah,
they're set up just like that. We have a list of questions. You know, whoever, maybe the DJ or whoever is behind the scenes, the producer, whoever it is, says, all right, here's the questions I want to ask. Let's hand them over to this person. You know, the rep for the, you know, whoever it is, the speaker of the day or the guest of the day. And then they go over and say, yes, no, I'm answering these ones, I'm not going to answer these ones. So, you know, a lot of that stuff, unfortunately, is already put together. And then you can hear it. That's, people now, I think like the younger generations hear that, and they can hear it come through, and it really turns them off. And that's why these free-form podcasts and stuff have really taken off, because it's just people talking about stuff they want to talk about.
It's more like organic. It's more intimate. I think, and it kind of goes hand in hand with like anybody that's like had to babysit any like teenagers or preteens. All the people I talk to that do that, and myself, what we've observed is, holy shit, they're obsessed with like YouTube. Like, they don't touch. Yeah. Like, you can have, like, I have really good cable, I have like every channel, and if I get kids over, it's like, no, it's YouTube. I want to watch YouTube.
I got my phone. It's cool.
And I want to watch YouTube, and I want to watch. They're always like walkthrough videos or something like that, or commentary.
Or unboxing.
I have a daughter that is the exact same way, and
But it's not just her. It's like all my nieces and nephews.
Mine's in Kansas City, going to see some of the YouTube celebrities that her mom took her to see that shit. And like, what do you mean? Like, is it a concert? She's like, no. Like, is it like a show? She's like, no. I'm like, what do they do? And she's like, they're there. I'm like, I get it if you're going to a concert. I get that, but you're just going to watch somebody be. All right, fine. I didn't pay for it.
I think podcasting is hitting a sweet spot with. It's still kind of understood by like baby boomers, because they understand like a long form like radio show or an audiobook.
Orson Welles, come on, man.
But and that's why, you know, like with Edge Case, it's like radio plays are actually like kind of doing a gigantic renaissance.
Hell yeah.
Anyway, they get into this. But we hit a sweet spot where it's like, then we get the Gen Xers, where I think we're like the people who are Gen Xers or like borderline between, like I am, baby boomer and Gen X, where it's just like, I understand in like internet, but you know, basically if you were in that high school stage where you had like a Mac LC3 in kindergarten, was in a computer lab, and you had to take typing class, exactly. And then by the time you graduated, the internet was like in full swing. It's like that generation really likes podcasting because it's like a best of both worlds. And the younger people still get it because they get that organic access to people that they get through like an unboxing, because their communication is all about like relationships, because they're so individually isolated with just like they all hang out in with their little screens in their little world, but they still need that human interaction. So my guess is that they get it's like sitting with your like reaction videos, especially. They like sitting there watching because it's like watching with their friends.
Yeah.
Except you can have the internet, so you can find the funniest group of friends on the planet to sit there with you and laugh at the show.
It's awesome that they had that choice, but that is sad as hell. That's the saddest thing I've heard all month.
It's not really though. I mean, if a lot of people give like kids a lot of hard times about being on electronics all day.
Yeah.
What did our parents do though for 6 hours a night? Watch TV.
People were sitting around like talking about the boob tube and how it's brainwashing people.
The one-eyed monster raised me. Sesame Street, Mr. Rogers.
Right. I mean, there's arguments that what kids do today is actually better for their brain.
Yeah,
just staring at the TV
because it's interactive,
right?
As opposed to what the previous generations did, where it was just like absorb.
Yeah.
You get that top-down model of media.
I just wish they'd use all that time to research scientific things about your brain. I don't know, music. Just watching a person eating cinnamon.
All I do when I'm not working or listening to podcasts is I watch YouTube videos, and half of them are like science or exploration or things like that. Yeah. So I mean, but it's all available to me. It's just like it's the balkanization of popular media, where it's just like everyone can have their own little archipelago island of like stuff they do. I feel
like Penny in Inspector Gadget. I got the little thing here that tells me everything I need to know immediately.
I thought you were going to say Penny on Pee-wee.
I love it.
It's a bullshit detector is what it is. Your phone is a bullshit detector. Someone tells you bullshit, you can call them out.
Hey, hold on a second. Google. Yeah. Nah, you made that up. I love it.
Except
Google
when it feeds
everything.
you the bullshit. That's when it gets dangerous.
Yeah, that's like I said. Then you just delete Facebook.
But I always get a kick out of the all these like the guy that does the depressing cartoon that shows what our world is really like, and it's everyone's marching around zombies glued to their screens. But what I think is funny is there's a meme where it's just like, look at all these anti-social millennials on public transportation on their screens, and then juxtaposed with the exact same city, and it's like a subway car, and every person has a book or a almost all of them newspapers, which is the social media feed of their time.
It's not
and
much
every one of them is like buried in a newspaper.
What else are you supposed to do when you're riding the train? Just stare out the window?
I stare at people. That's what I advise people to do. And when they catch you, don't break the eye contact.
That's my favorite thing to do is when I catch someone picking their nose. I like to just make eye contact.
Just make sure I see you. You disgusting. Wiping on somebody's shirt.
Well, one of my favorites that I've seen is the guy that makes fake book covers and then sits up that are ridiculous, and he sits on the subway where it's just like how to please a woman with your tongue, and it's like cunnilingus, or it's just like pedophilia for fun and profit or something like that. Like as giant, very visible covers.
Yeah, those are awesome.
I need to Google him.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. It's YouTube. If there's an idea out there, someone's doing it. It's hilarious, and it's out there.
I love YouTube.
But YouTube isn't it's not any different than our generation or our parents' generation watching TV.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the same.
I think it's way more helpful.
Yeah.
What can you not learn how to do on YouTube?
And instead of writing a letter and sending it off into the void,
and waiting,
you could sit there and comment underneath their video, and the actual person that created the media can comment back to you.
Yeah.
There's no
hey, I don't understand this. Try it this way. Cool, thanks. This took me a month and a half by sending it to Sears.
And if I think that, look at where we're at with this technology now. If I feel like Mexicans shouldn't be allowed to vote, I can just twit at the president right now, and he'll be like, "Yeah, I agree with you totally."
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
I've been saying it the whole time. They're gonna build our wall. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's crazy.
That's the only political part of this. That's the only political thing we really said for both times.
I brought that one in because I'm always thinking about. I spent a lot of time studying Europe in the early 20th century, and have you ever heard the story about the guy who invented the megaphone, the loudspeaker? Mm-hmm. The guy was basically suicidally depressed for his whole life after World War II because people could, like in movies, like kings will get up on a horse in front of a like gigantic army
But it won't.
and give this like inspiring speech that the camera's right here so we all hear it, but in real life you can't rally a like giant army with a rousing speech to every individual person, and that's why they had like different flags and trumpets to signal to people and stuff like that. Until the loudspeaker came along, and the loudspeaker came along just in time for the like Nuremberg rallies and stuff like that in Germany.
Yeah.
So this new technology allowed Hitler to like pump his words directly into people's heads across this like and like make him sound like the voice of God thundering
That
through this
would
whole
be a hard
amphitheater.
message to sell, like relaying it to people. But hey, man, you go tell everybody we're gonna kill all the Jews, and you go tell everybody, and then when you're telling people that secondhand, like he said that. No.
And then you get when you do it that way, you get the telephone effect. So at the end, just like half the people just think that we're gonna like have a barbecue. Yeah. So it's like, what?
Bring all the Jews. We're gonna have a barbecue.
Yeah, we're gonna have a barbecue.
We're gonna take showers.
No
It's gonna
pork.
be good.
Something was
I'm not
lost in
making light of
translation.
the Jewish
I'm
holocaust.
not sure, but I think something was lost in the translation. Yeah.
Wow, that's dark.
That is super dark. That's how I roll,
I feel
though.
really bad about laughing at that.
I don't. That was awesome. Good job.
I'm not a denier. There. Well, it's not a flat earther or a denier. It's all good.
So somehow I managed to turn our nice light conversation about social media into the Holocaust again. So we'll put that up on the counter on the wall we have. It's like it's been 0 days since Rob turned this conversation into the
I've
Holocaust.
never really given that any thought. Like that would be a hard message to sell to everybody like that. Like you know how to circle the.
But yeah, the guy who invented the loudspeakers, and you can look it up on your bullshit detector, really believed that he created like World War II.
Man, you know he was really pumped about making that too. He's like, we can spread the message. Everybody's gonna. And then they're doing it like, that's not what I meant.
So I remember with a college history professor talking about. So I wonder what technology is our equivalent of that, and what will happen with that, and then immediately go back to my dorm room and sign up for Facebook. You know. Sigh.
Man, it should be so simple when you could break the internet connection with just picking up a phone.
That's true. Kids these days will never understand the squeal of a
They'll
56K
never know that
modem.
noise.
They would never understand that you only needed to get to the boobs to finish. I wanted to see the rest, but I couldn't wait that long.
Oh God!
2 hours to download one song.
It was glorious, though.
First days of Napsters, you go to do like 6 songs going before you went to bed.
Load everything up
wake
and
up to all
leave.
these gifts.
I was the only kid in my village, and I say village because it was that fucking small, that had a CD burner.
Oh man, I remember when I
And
first
so we
got a
had
CD burner.
Incredible. Not Netflix. We had Napster, and we had a CD burner, and so a friend would come over, and we'd have like a weekend long like sleepover or whatever, and like get him a CD with like 5 illegally obtained songs. all right.
And then come
Back on the res, I got a CD burner, and this is like I fucking used to like make mix CDs and sell them.
Yeah.
For like I don't know, like $20 a CD or something like that.
Jesus.
It was
Well,
a
back
pretty decent
then,
little
like
business
burn,
I had.
and then for a while there, though, even just a regular burnable CD was like $5 a disc or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. And then
Yep.
then they got right about the time they became irrelevant is when they started coming out with where it's like $5 for 500.
Yeah,
of
you
them.
get a stack like this. You
Yeah,
just
I
dump the CDs off and put all your old
I always
CDs
get the
in there.
burnable ones.
I remember hoarding those because like. God, I gotta hang on to these or the burnable DVDs. And
It's funny. I still run across CDs like big blue CDs in a purple case or something. I have no idea what's on this, but this has got to be good.
I just bought a new car and I was so annoyed because it had a CD player in it. I'm like, seriously, what the fuck am I going to do with this thing? Like, you are taking up space.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh man, my Mazda that I'm in was 1 year before they started putting in a line in.
Oh,
So that I can so that I can actually hook up a phone or something like that to it. So I have a little FM transmitter, but here in Sioux Falls, like every fucking piece of spectrum is taken.
Yeah.
So I'm just like this morning, even driving around, and just constantly having to change frequency so I can hear my fucking podcast.
I think you should go back to the cassette tape.
There's
You can
no
get
cassette.
that-
I would 1,000% do that if there was a cassette player, but
There's
there's
not.
it's that boundary where it has
you
a
don't
five disc CD changer player and radio, and that's it.
Ooh.
Yeah,
It's
it's
kind of
brutal.
messed up. They never really did figure out another way other than the cassette, other than plugging it in.
Yeah, and then the just auxiliary port. So. Yeah, because a CD, I don't think that would work with. It'd be pretty cool to see. Yeah. But. So what are we talking about again? Oh yeah, Live 605.
Yeah. You don't need CDs for Live 605.
You don't.
No,
it's awesome.
Is there an app you can download, or?
There's not, but you can listen from any mobile device if you go to live605.com.
That's what
usually what I do and what I tell a lot of people to do, because really, I mean, you don't really need an app for this. If you want to download one more thing that takes up storage on your phone, I can build you an app. Or you can just save the player screen to your home page, and you will click on it and it'll open just like it's an app.
Yep.
There may be an app coming in the future, and then I'll retract everything I'm saying right now.
And the app will be the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
It'll be the greatest app.
And then you need it. Then you will need it. You will most definitely need it.
Yeah.
But if you go to live605.com, you click on Listen Live or Pop Up, you'll get a. You can listen to it from there. I'm trying to resubmit it to TuneIn. I had it on TuneIn, so like if you have a car that you can have the TuneIn app on, you can listen to it there. But for some reason, since I got a new car, I reinvestigated that, and that station disappeared for some reason. And then I tried re-adding it. They're like, "This is a duplicate," and I'm like, "Fuck you."
I had that happen with iTunes like 4 months ago, where it was just kind of like, it put one of my podcasts in a totally separate iTunes account than all the others, and it's just like, that's fucking annoying. I don't have to log into iTunes that often for anything.
Yeah, but when you
do, it's just like, where's the podcast? Oh yeah, it's that stupid thing again.
Yeah, so I mean, you can listen from there from any device, pretty much. I mean, your TV, anything that you can use a browser on.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. You posted a picture of somebody was it a Roku or an Alexa or something like that?
Fire Stick.
Fire Stick. They were listening to the Sioux Empire Podcast via Fire Stick.
On Live 605.
On Live 605.
Nice. They're listening to it live, yeah.
It's fucking awesome.
Which is, I mean, yeah, there's any way to listen to it. I personally think that like the whole app thing is going to probably pass, and because nobody wants to take up all the space on there.
Yeah, that's why I'm secretly building an FM transmitter in here, because I feel like this whole internet thing will blow over, and then we'll just, like, rocks. That's the future.
We're going to go back to rocks abacus. We're going to get rid of calculators, too. Not having it.
Speaking of that, when I relaunched Live 605, and I was looking I actually stumbled across this Facebook page called Sioux Falls Rocks. And it was rocks. It was about all the rocks.
No,
that's geology.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah, I was like, I thought this was rock music. No, it's not. This is rocks.
Hey, geology is also, it's interesting as well. Not quite as interesting as rock music, but yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's the thing. My daughter always finds those.
I collect
rocks around town.
Little painted rocks.
Yeah.
Happy little trees on my happy little rock.
But a lot like this podcast, you can find Live 605 on any podcast app, pretty much any stream.
And the domain name is super easy. Live 605. I mean, like, come on, how much easier can we make it for you? A.com,
Yeah.
.com.
That's cool.
So, yeah, I guess it's probably that time to slide right into our...
The Sioux Empire Podcast proudly presents this week's Shameless Plugs.
To our British man yelling instructions at us. Don't hurt me! So, Tyler, you are the new guy here this week, so obviously the whole thing has been kind of other than that tangent about the Holocaust that Rob got into.
Which everybody enjoyed, by the way.
Yeah, it was super not awkward at all. Yeah, so obviously Live 605 is so people can learn about it.
Yeah, live605.com. Search Live 605 on any of your favorite podcast apps. You can hit me up directly, T+K64 on all social media. Live 605 on all social media as well.
And then local artists, if you are a music maker in the area, spam this guy. Get him your music.
Please, the easiest thing to do is if you go to our website and give it one good spin, like a Wheel of Fortune wheel spin, you'll end up at the bottom of the page and there'll be a link that says submit your content. Click on that and you can upload your content right there.
Comic, this goes for you too. Zach Dress, you should be listening.
He's already got some
I
stuff.
was going to say, yeah.
Why hasn't he already said something to the rest of us? Zach? I'm disappointed in you,
He's
Zach.
holding
You dropped
out.
the ball.
He's holding out.
He's trying to get a leg up on you guys. We do have there's quite a few on there. We have like Zach, Luke, Skylar.
I have a ton of audio. I just don't have any videos. This kind of works.
Dan, Art of Bombing, Dan Bubbets Jr. is on
She
there.
also has a show every Thursday at noon, The Art of Bombing. It's one of my favorite shows.
It is a good show.
I love it. I think there's a couple other comedians. I can't keep them all straight. Dan, he has some comedy bits on there too for the 5, 6, or 6. What's it called? Bunnies on the 5. Yeah, that's. What
There you go. You're like, I can't remember my own gimmick.
Yeah, I did that, and then I was talking to a guy about it later, and he's like, "Why didn't you just put laughter at 5 after?" And I said, "Leave." Get out of here.
I was gonna say, I think there's 5 o'clock funnies on the Crow, right?
Well,
I don't know.
I never actually listened to The Crow.
Oh, it's been a very long time since I have as well.
And that's actually how I started doing it. Was I was going to do funnies on the 5 at 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. and then I realized there was enough comedy in Sioux Falls to support having 60 seconds every hour.
Yeah, most people don't realize how many comics there are around here, or that there is comedy here at all.
I'm snapping photos because normally that's Natasha's job, is to take like 400 photos for me to pick from, but I'm being Natasha, Seth, and me today.
I've been out to Bosses a couple times. I've seen you perform a couple times. I've seen a lot of the local guys perform. And
He's like, I've been watching you from the shadows.
I was thinking about in one of those comics, Adam Wilco, he writes, like he does some sci-fi stuff. I'm going to tell him to get in contact with you on that.
Yeah, I'll be posting on South Dakota Writers and a whole bunch of stuff about submissions and stuff.
Yeah. Cool. It's good stuff.
I want to make my radio plays.
Yeah.
Meanwhile...
It's awesome.
Shit, I should have named the show Meanwhile. Son of a bitch.
I wonder if that domain name's taken.
Buy it.
Oh, of course that domain name is taken. Edge Case was taken in like every variant of it.
Really?
So the website is going to be edged /case. Or not slash, dash. So edgecase.com.
Spell it in leaked speak.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff.
I have to train myself to say the dash. Anyway, so I think that was your shameless plug, what you got going on. Eric, you want to... Anything?
Puppy training.
You're still puppy training?
Puppy training.
Be sure...
Boss's Comedy Club.
There you go.
Boss's Pizza and Chicken. Wood Grain. They support us, like I said, every Tuesday. Every other Tuesday. Fernson on 8th, every other Tuesday that isn't Wood Grain. They show up at one or the two. They'll like it because you came in and gave them business.
Yeah.
But Boss is every Wednesday.
And that's one thing I would really like to stress is that, I've been to quite a few, and some of the shows have like a huge turnout, and some of them it's like 4 people show up, and everybody wants more comedy, and they want more music, and they want more of the stuff locally generated, but it's up to the people, the fans of that stuff.
If you don't show up, we're still going to perform.
Well, you are for a period of time, but there's only so long that places like Boss's Pizza and Wood Grain and Fernson's are going to allow you to do it.
Yeah, we've been jumping for a few years.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare.
We're building a scene. Let's keep it going.
Yeah. That would be much appreciated. Support all of this stuff.
Gabriel, what do you got?
I have, of course, the Urban Indians podcast that you can hear here every 2 weeks with Shar and Levi and Kathy. We're going on close to 30 episodes now, so that's pretty cool. You can find us in this month's 605 magazine.
Yeah.
And then I got a new album coming out, Survivor, October 5th, that will be everywhere. Record release party is October 6th at the Icon. Soon to be on 605 Live, and or Live 605, I should say. And yeah, that's me.
Outstanding. I will go down now through my list of shameless plugs. Once again, a big thank you to Matthew Paulson for supporting us on Patreon. You are a cool dude. Thank you for doing that. If you want to support the Sioux Empire Podcast and our entire Sioux Empire Podcast network family, be sure to go to patreon.com/Sioux Falls to see how you can support us. Big shout out for Siouxpercon. We are getting down to the wire on that. That is going to be a huge event, and should probably take this opportunity to announce that Tyler and Live605, we're going to kind of share booths a little bit at Siouxpercon. So Tyler will be there, do some live streaming, do some craziness, some
stop by the booth, talk to me.
Yes.
Someone please talk to me. I've never been to Siouxpercon. I'm going into this completely blind.
I think this is going to be fun because I'm going to be like the hardened veteran of Siouxpercon, and you're going to be like, "What's this?" or "Oh my God, what is that guy doing to that other guy?"
Well, exactly. When we talked about it, like I said, it's not typically my scene, and I'm interested in all things. So I think it's gonna be fun. But I started doing research on it, and then I actually stopped myself because I was like, why am I asking these questions now? I think it would make more sense to ask these questions when I'm there, and then we can talk about it, and then, if you're listening, then you can have these questions answered too. So it might give you a reason to come.
So yeah, that's coming up, and in fact, I believe our next episode after this one airs will be with Shane, who's the head of Siouxpercon, giving us a little preview show, talking about what's going to be going on at Siouxpercon. Let's see. And as always, plugging Live605, of course. Available in the show notes, and all the information we talked about for Live605 will be there as well. I think that's everything for me. Thank you for listening, everyone. Guys, thank you for being here.
No problem.
And we'll see you all next week. Woo!